Hello and welcome to the DECwindows Field Readiness DVN. I'm Ann McGrath, and today's broadcast is designed to provide you with live follow-up training to the Work Systems and Windowing Training Program. During today's broadcast, we will be discussing the status of the DECwindows program, looking at some of DECwindows' underlying technology, its competitive positioning in the market, and discussing DECwindows base systems implementation. We'll also be taking a look at a variety of digital and third-party applications that will be running on DECwindows. Our main objective here today, though, is to answer your questions about the DECwindows program. We also want to remind you that the information you hear today about the DECwindows product is company private and is not for general disclosure. Today's broadcast is not to be recorded or the information distributed in any way. I'm here in Digital's Bedford studio with the first of two panels who will be joining us today. You'll meet the second panel later in the broadcast, but right now, let's get things started by introducing our first group of experts. Richard Treadway is the DECwindows Program Manager. As Program Manager, Richard is responsible for coordinating the implementation and introduction of DECwindows, components and products. Richard's been with Digital for 11 years, having worked in software engineering of database, user interface, and workstation products. Craig Lamont is an Alteryx Workstations product manager with responsibility for the Alteryx DECwindows version 1 release. Craig's been working for Digital for 8 years, beginning as an engineer for PDP and VMS layered products, then moving to Alteryx engineering before coming to Alteryx product management. Peter George is a consulting software engineer in the VMS development organization. Since joining Digital and VMS 8 years ago, Peter has held a variety of development, architecture, and project management positions. Most recently, he's been the architect and project leader of VMS's workstation software development, initially leading the team that developed the VWS workstation product, and now leading VMS's DECwindows development efforts. Bob Reagan has product management responsibilities for the PC components of the DECwindows program and the DOS software coprocessor. He's been at Digital for over 20 years, and his experience ranges from hardware design for PDP-8s to, more recently, product management for the Professional series. Scott McGregor is the DECwindows architect with overall technical responsibility for the DECwindows program. Scott has been with Digital for 3 years. Prior to Digital, he designed and managed the implementation of Microsoft Windows and worked at the Xerox Palo Alto Research Center on the Xerox Star and the Cedar environment. As you can see, we have brought together a panel well-stocked with experts to answer your questions about the DECwindows program. Today's DVN will be on the air for a total of 2 hours. The broadcast is divided into 2 segments. In the first segment, we will be presenting you with an updated overview of the DECwindows program. This will include a chance to address the panel on a variety of issues, including underlying technologies, DECwindows relation to standards, DECwindows application development, DECwindows competitive positioning in the marketplace, and its base system implementation in VMS, Alteryx, and in the PC environment. The second segment of today's program will provide you with an overview of the various digital and third-party applications that will be running on DECwindows. At this time, you'll have a chance to ask the panelists about core applications, DECwindows and the all-in-one environment, desktop publishing, third-party applications, and out-of-the-box applications. The question and answer period follow each of the 2 segments of the program, and at that time, we'll open the phone lines to you, the audience. The number to call here in Bedford is 617-276-4800 or DTN 249-4800. Before we go to our panel and the question and answer portion of today's broadcast, we'd like you to take a look at a portion of Roger Heinen's address at the State of the Company meeting earlier this month. Roger Heinen is the technical director for the System Software Group, and Roger's addressing the group about the DECwindows program.
Now, you've already heard Bill and Dom both use a term. The term they used was DECwindows, and unfortunately, DECwindows is probably our best-kept secret. And I'll tell you right now, it's high time that everyone in Digital began to be introduced to DECwindows and began speaking its praises. And to do that, we need your help. DECwindows is a company-wide program to enhance all of our VAX VMS and VAX Alteryx interactive applications to exploit VAX workstations and the same easy-to-use, visually sophisticated user interface. DECwindows also represents all the people working to provide industry leadership applications for digital. And DECwindows is the most exciting software architecture to emerge from digital in recent years. In a sense, I want you to leave here this afternoon as evangelists for DECwindows, ready to spread the word, ready to tell your friends, ready to share your excitement with other members of the company, ready to promote DECwindows as the keystone to the success of our desktop product strategy. Again, this is not the time to keep a secret. DECwindows is really quite easy to understand. The roots of the program were planted at Ken's cabin in Maine some 18 months ago. Ken had invited us up there on a very chilly late fall to discuss our plans for VMS and Alteryx workstations. And frankly, we knew we had trouble even before we were invited. Our plans were fragmented by multiple software architectures which were simply too complex for applications developers and customers to deal with. We knew then, as we know now, that applications are the key to success in the desktop, and we knew that a broad majority of applications developers were simply not paying enough attention to the VAX workstations. The key to attracting applications designers seemed to lay in unifying digital's workstation into one family, one larger family. But to do so meant we had to change many of our current assumptions at that time. In a sense, we had to abandon all of our current plans and embrace something new. It was an awful choice. And the conversation around the wood stove that evening made little progress. We couldn't even agree on what to do, much less how to do it. And Ken, as always, listened patiently and for quite some time, but finally I think his patience ran out and he said, if we don't make this decision soon, we're going to be having this conversation here forever. So you have a month to tell us what the answer is and then we'll make it happen. And I think it was 3 weeks later we made the presentation with the answer and we called that DECwindows. The goal of the DECwindows program is for every VMS and Alteryx workstation to bear a strong resemblance to each other. They look and feel the same, and they have identical applications for all day-to-day needs. To achieve this goal, we outlined a 4-part workstation software strategy. First, provide a common user interface. Second, use a common programming interface. Third, use industry standards. And fourth, deliver it fast. This picture shows all the components of the DECwindows implementation on both VMS and Alteryx, as seen from the application's point of view. The staircase depicts the fact that an application can use and intermix a variety of programming interfaces ranging from the industry standard graphics libraries like GKS all the way down to some very primitive functions for high-speed drawing, text display, and color support. Each of these capabilities represents something different in the DECwindows system, which plays an important role in supporting our visual user interface. And note the box on the right labeled extensions. This is where we put our non-standard, customer-valued features that put our implementation of DECwindows ahead of the competition. It's here that we'll provide the ability to display Adobe's Postscript directly on the screen as if it were a printed page, and the ability to display 3D renderings, and the ability to display actual scanned bitonal images. This picture also shows the most unique aspect of DECwindows, and that is that it works across a network. And as you'll see in the next slide, the user's display need not be on the same computer as the application. The DECwindows architecture provides a way for the users to separate the application execution from the application display. This diagram shows just how this works. It shows a DECwindows application running on a VMS or Alteryx application engine using a variety of display devices spread throughout the DECnet OSI network. I've included all the important ones here: VMS, Alteryx, MS-DOS, OS/2, plain old Unix, and Macintosh. All of these devices work quite well as DECwindows displays, but I'll tell you that the VAX workstations are the very best. Now, clearly, users will most often choose to run their application on the same computer as their display, and in fact, DECwindows is optimized for this case. But the advantage of using DECwindows in a network is unmistakable. The user has the freedom to run an application on a machine that has more computing resources than the Office workstation, without giving up the benefits of the common user interface. A good practical example of this might be a customer who has a graphics application which requires access to a large database. You can run the application on the machine with the database and run the display on your local workstation. One key to modern user interfaces is that they must be natural and easy to use by everyone. Clearly then, DECwindows applications have to work for all customers in our worldwide marketplace. And the competition really doesn't see this need, so here again, this gives us an edge. We've designed a very simple and easy way for DECwindows applications to come in different natural languages. Here's how it works. We've separated the program of an application from the description of what it looks like on the screen. And then we supply a special editor which allows you to replicate that description in various languages, say French and English and Spanish and Dutch and Japanese and so forth, all the languages that are important to us. Then we ship all of the replicates to the end user, and when they log on, they can select the language in which they'd like to see all their applications appear. So this is a very powerful and easy way to ensure that we have a completely internationalized product. Without a doubt, I think you can agree, DECwindows is wonderful. But believe me, the first product is by no means ready to ship quite yet. We've got another 6 or 7 months of development. We're not satisfied. And we're only going to ship a product that we're totally proud of. What you can see today in the demo area is just a preliminary copy, and it's easy to see how this can be better. We have lots of work to do to make sure that all the applications come in their international versions, and this work will continue for some time. We also have to work at transforming all our existing applications and at the same time developing new applications. Probably the most important thing that we're going to be working on before the first release is improving the performance. Early on, we set some metrics for usability of a DECwindows workstation, and we haven't yet met those metrics, but we're going to. Another aspect is that we have to implement some of these extensions I talked about, including display Postscript, the 3D rendering, and imaging. And finally, we have to support some new hardware systems that are coming along. So now that you're familiar with DECwindows, I sincerely hope you're ready to spread the word. DECwindows is a product we can all be proud of. It's an important new digital software architecture. It's a design center for world-class interactive applications. It's a superior implementation of the DECwindows standard, and the applications imply that it's rich in function for the user. Summary then, it's a key opportunity and a key competitive advantage for digital. And it's here right now, so get out there and tell your friends.
Okay, we're back. Richard, what does Roger's message mean for the folks out there?
Well, Ann, I think it's significant that Roger presented DECwindows as the state of the company. And what it means is now's the time to learn all you can about DECwindows. This is a technology that will impact our products in the very near future and for a long time to come. And I think it helps to think of DECwindows as really two major pieces. First, it's an enabling technology, a platform that we can build our applications on well into the 1990s. And as part of that underlying technology, it will be an integral part of the operating systems, VMS, Alteryx, and our PC offering. The second major part of DECwindows is an integrated application set, products that will capture the imagination of our end users and our developers alike. Now, as an enabling technology, we sell DECwindows to application developers, CMPs, ISVs. And let's take a look at what it means to them. From the standpoint of performance and reliability and extensions, it's really a superior implementation of the DECwindows system standard. From the outset, our goal was to create the best possible environment for building X applications, and I think we've largely succeeded in that. We've given this software to about 200 ISVs to date, and they're writing their applications, and their reaction is they'd like to use this as their implementation environment over other environments that they've seen. It's also the technology that we've contributed to OSF. In a recent announcement, the Open System Foundation will be looking at picking up this technology as their user interface and their style for the X environment. And we're also putting together plans to license this capability to the industry at large. So together with this architecture and other architectures like the compound document architecture, this will form a basis for our products in the future. Now, I'm often asked how many people are working on DECwindows, and that's a pretty difficult question to answer when you consider that this is the design center for all application development. And so in a sense, everybody who's building applications in digital is working on DECwindows. Now let's turn to the second part. DECwindows as an integrated enterprise-wide application set. This is really the exciting part, and you'll see demos of this later in the program. But by designing our applications to work on a platform like X and DECwindows, we can begin to build applications that will deliver the resources of the network to a single point on the desktop. And that's a pretty exciting capability. As you'll see in the demos, we're also providing a common user interface so that the user interface on VMS and Alteryx will be the same. And that leads to more productivity for end users. And we even take this a step further, putting the same interface on Alteryx and VMS. In the state of the company, in the demos that were shown there, people had difficulty realizing that the compound document editor was running, whether it was running on VMS or Alteryx. They really couldn't tell the difference. The other point to make is that it's not just a single product that we're building as this products, but a family of products. And there'll be products that you would need to do your normal work every day, things like mail, spreadsheet, compound document editor, and so forth. And this is really the segment that defines our competitive edge. So the goal of this DVN is to give you a first update in this series. And again, what I think this means to you is that now's the time to really learn all you can about DECwindows, Ann.
All right, thank you very much, Richard. We are now going to invite you to call in any questions that you may have. Again, the number to call is 617-276-4800 or DTN 249-4800. If you have any questions about compound documents, all-in-one, out-of-the-box, or third-party applications, we ask that you hold those questions until the second portion of the program. Craig, if I can start with a question to you first. VacStation 2 GPX running Alteryx was the first commercial workstation to run the X windowing system. Given that Alteryx has supported the X windowing system for nearly 4 years, how will the additional DECwindows functionality contribute to the success of the Alteryx product family?
And the DECwindows programs allows us to address 3 major problems in the Alteryx or Unix workstation industry today. The first is the multitude of user interfaces that are in the industry today. Second one is a lack of a robust workstation development environment. And finally, it's been a lack of applications on a common workstation platform that have prevented us from truly being able to satisfy the industry's needs. The DECwindows program, in as far as the user interface is concerned, takes the multitude of user interfaces that are available today and provides a single, common, coherent user interface that ISVs and applications developers can write to and display on different vendors' platforms. The second problem, the one of a lack of a robust workstation development environment, is solved by the industry's most robust X development environment today. The DEC toolkit, by and large, and quite to a large extent, is the most robust X development platform today. And finally, now that those two problems are solved, now we get the applications that we've been wanting and looking for quite a long time. The DECwindows program certainly does solve the industry's problems.
We have a caller on the line from Seattle. Could we have your question, please? Good afternoon.
Okay, thank you. I saw a slide earlier that showed the number of platforms available for DECwindows, and on there was Macintosh and OS/2. And I was wondering if you could give us a statement both for internal knowledge about the status of those and also a statement that we could make to our inquiring customers.
Bob?
Thank you, Ann. As part of the NAS announcement back in January, as part of the personal computing systems architecture, we announced our intention to support both OS/2 and eventually Macintosh in those environments. As part of that, we expect at the appropriate time to provide X Windows display capabilities for both the Macintosh and OS/2 machines.
Does that answer your question, and do you have a follow-up, Seattle?
Okay, that answered the question. Am I allowed to say that in public?
Yes, yes, you are.
Great, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Our next caller is calling in from Merrimack. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. My question is regarding DECwindows is going to be a platform that we can use to develop applications in the X environment. looking at it from a Unix orientation and working in a heterogeneous environment with other X implementations, are there any plans for a TCP/IP implementation for the VMS side of DECwindows to participate in X?
Okay, Craig, you want to start?
Part of what I'm about to tell you, you can talk to your customers about, part that you can't. There is a product that will be coming out soon that will have TCP/IP on VMS. It's been called the Alteryx VMS connection. And what we're looking to do in the fairly near future following V1 is to be able to break out that TCP/IP functionality and to be able to bring it onto the VMS platform. Now that has not been planned for. We are in discussions with VMS. I'm sure Peter can also talk about it. But it's something that we feel that the industry definitely needs and something we're going to pursue.
Peter?
Right. Well, what I'd like to add to that is that while we're laying the plans right now to have the base technology available to be able to support TCP/IP and DECnet, both as transport mechanisms for DECwindows on VMS, and our first product offering will have the DECnet support, but we hope to add the TCP/IP support as a TCP/IP support as a layered product at a later time.
Peter, I was wondering, I thought that the X-Windows system was basically Unix standard for windowing. Why did you choose to use it as the basis of second-generation VMS windowing system?
Well, I think that there are several answers to that question. The first point is that it's not really just a Unix standard. X was designed from the very beginning to be an operating system portable standard. The windowing system was implemented on multiple systems, even at MIT, before it got moved to digital. So it's been implemented on VMS systems, on Unix systems, and on various personal computers. So first of all, it was portable and designed to be that from the very beginning. Secondly, when we looked for a base windowing technology to design DECwindows about and to build DECwindows on, and we took a look at X-Windows, we discovered that it had the very sophisticated graphics, windowing, and input mechanisms that we required. And in addition to that, it had some very attractive networking features, which you've heard about, that allow us to distribute applications across the network and to take full advantage of the digital distributed computing environment. So those were the first two reasons. And the third one, which is perhaps the most important, is that as an industry-wide standard, it's quite a magnet for applications. And by providing the application programming environment and application programming interfaces defined by the X-Windows system on VMS, not only do you get to take advantage of applications developed explicitly for VMS or explicitly for the digital platforms, but you can take advantage of applications developed for any industry implementation of X.
Thank you, Peter. Let's turn now to Cincinnati. You have a question. Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you this afternoon?
Good.
We're in a situation where we're working with an account that has selected as an architecture for their computing environment PC workstations connected to compute servers. The architecture they're selecting, though, says that the MS LAN manager will be the means of connectivity between applications, both clients and servers. I guess what I'm asking is do we see X as kind of a competing technology with MS LAN manager or as a complementary, or how do the two fit together?
Okay, if I understand your question correctly, the relationship between DECwindows and how it will relate to LAN manager and the SAA approach is that it's actually complementary. What DECwindows supports is an open arrangement where a variety of desktop devices are supported in an equal way across an organization, as opposed to the SAA and LAN manager approaches, which is really aimed toward a single desktop device. So in that regard, we see it as being complementary.
Cincinnati, do you have a follow-up?
I guess I do. What I guess I'm wondering then is that as I see an X-Window application being written, that the hooks for the tie between the application and the desktop device would be fairly specific to an X application, and that same X application could not hook into an MS LAN manager type of a client.
No, I don't believe that's quite accurate. We will be using LAN manager with our implementation of PCSA for OS2, and we will also be supporting X-Windows as part of that.
Let me comment a little bit on that. The LAN manager and DECwindows are really addressing different problems. The LAN manager is really addressing the problem of how do you get access to the databases and the files on the network. And DECwindows is really aimed at the applications interface, how the application interacts with keyboards, the mice, and how you could perhaps get computes on a different machine in a transparent fashion. So the LAN manager really is focused more on the database and file stuff versus the user interface stuff, and I think that's a hard difference, and they're still complementary, as Bob says.
All right, let's turn to Chicago now. Good afternoon. What's your question?
My question's for Richard and Craig. I was wondering if you could give me a more specific update on where we are with display, Postscript, and extensions. And I've got a secondary question, and there are rumors in the field that this specific product will come out under Alteryx before VMS. And I'm wondering if you could tell me if that's true.
Well, it's not true that it will come out on Alteryx before VMS. We have signed last January a contract with Adobe. We are coming out with basically two products. One is an Adobe Postscript previewer, and one is an extension to the X server for Postscript. Both of these are planned to be in and should be in. I don't see any problem with it, with DECwindows version 1. Perhaps.
Well, no, let me clarify that. Yeah, we did sign the agreement with Adobe in January, and the implementation plan is to provide the previewer first. So as part of DECwindows version 1, you'll have a previewer capability, but the extensions to X, in terms of Postscript extensions, that would give you a programming interface from an application to a Postscript capability wouldn't be there in version 1 of DECwindows. That would be a post-version 1 feature. So there'd be a previewer, but not the full X extensions.
And I didn't want to mislead you that that second product would be available. I will say that development has gone along very well. We have working code in-house now. It works extremely well, and we're excited about making it part of our product.
All right, we'd like to remind you that the number to call here in Bedford to reach our panelists is 617-276-4800 or DTN 249-4800. We do have a couple of lines open, so give us a call now if you've got a question. Scott, if I can ask you briefly, what's our competitive positioning with respect to OpenLook?
Well, let me compare and contrast those a little bit. First of all, one of the major things that DECwindows offers is a consistent style guide that describes how to write applications so that they can be, the skills you learn in one application can easily be transferred to another. OpenLook has captured a lot of that, and they've also included a style guide in their description. And by the way, both of these style guides are non-infringing if that's an issue for people. The next issue is that DECwindows provides a consistent API, or Applications Programming Interface, across VMS and Alteryx, and that's portable to other operating systems as well. And if you look at what OpenLook is offering, they're offering 3 different APIs. One is being offered by AT&T. That's an Intrinsics-based programming interface. Sun's offering 2. One is based on their older SunView stuff layered on top of Xlib, and they're also offering a News and Andrew-based system. And they're not really offering a clear solution here. They're saying, you know, well, here are 3 different ones. One of them isn't good enough. And we're offering a consistent one across all the different platforms, which I think is what the application writers are really looking for. Okay, a third issue is that AT&T and Sun have really made a big deal that this is part of standard Unix because it's part of the AT&T and Sun release. I think the announcement of OSF has clarified that a little bit in terms of what we're doing and offers an alternative to that. And we've contributed DECwindows and the user interface to that forum. A fourth issue rather, is that Sun has made a big deal about proprietary systems and how digital is often proprietary. I think you'll find here that we're the ones based on the standard, the MIT X standard, and they're offering some proprietary solutions here. And my last point is that the OpenLook stuff has just gotten started. They pretty much announced it. They put together a rudimentary style guide, and they've started to work on the intrinsics. But we went to field test in February, and I fully expect it will be out before they are. So the applications that want to get started right now should start on DECwindows.
We do understand that we have a number of folks on the line, so just hang on, don't hang up. We'll get to your questions, and I'll probably ask the panelists to keep their answers to your questions as brief and yet as full of content as possible. Seattle, you're back with us. Good afternoon.
Hi, yes, I'm back. I have a question about how we will license the widgets. I understand we're going to a third-party company to port the widgets to other people's hardware, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about how we will do that, whether it be licensed at source code level, object code, and in general, how we will be encouraging people to go to DECwindows as opposed to simply going to X.
Richard?
Okay, yes, we did have a plan to take our DECwindows toolkit and give it to a third party and have them distribute it. However, we've taken a second look at that, and we're pursuing an alternate approach based on the things that have happened in OSF, where we actually contributed this technology to the industry at large through that foundation. And we need to have a slightly more flexible way of giving this technology to the industry at large. And what we're looking at doing right now is providing a license whereby we could give this implementation, actually source codes it and so forth, to ISVs so that they can incorporate that in their applications and ship on any platform that they felt they needed to. So that's going to be our approach, and I think we're going to be moving very quickly on this approach. We should be having something in the field that you can say about it in the very near future, but I think it's a much more flexible and better approach than going through the third party that we had originally envisioned. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, and that's a good answer, too.
All right.
I'd like to make one comment on that.
Okay, quickly.
I think it'd be appreciated if people don't tell that to all their customers right now. We would like to get the jump on our competition in offering sources in a fairly reasonable fashion, so please hold that one until another month or so here.
All right, fair enough, Scott. Let's go now to Denver. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Our question is having to do, there's kind of two questions that we have, and one is are there other standards beyond X11, such as X11.2.3 or whatever, that any competition are implementing? And do any of these standards define how we're supposed to handle the backing store question? And kind of the more specific question is, how do we respond to the customers who request, that want to know how do they handle backing store when they design their own applications?
All right, we're going to ask you to stay on the line for a second because there were a number of pieces to that. Who wants to handle kind of the first part?
Let me take the first piece about where is X going. We're certainly on the forefront of X, and I don't think you're going to see a competitor come up with X n+1 on top of us, so I don't think we're going to get scooped here. We did most of the X implementation and most of the design within digital, and we remain very active with the MIT consortium, so we're not going to get scooped. Let's see, the other questions related to backing store. Why don't I turn that over to Peter?
Okay, well, speaking specifically about our implementations of X, backing store is an optional feature of the X Windows system, and in our first versions, I don't think you'll see it there. In order to get the products out as soon as possible, we've tried to defer doing as many of the optional features as possible. Backing store is a feature we'd like to add in our next releases, and I think you can expect to see that, and there's another concept called save unders in X that we'd like to exploit as soon as possible. In the interim, there are ways of doing that under application control, and that's what we're telling the key applications that need to have that feature in place do. And basically using pix maps and concepts like that, you can have the application manage it instead of the server.
We have a call on the line from St. Louis. I hope we got to all your questions, Denver. You can always call us back later if we didn't. I'm sorry, St. Louis, you're next.
Yes, my question has to do with something that I've been asked by a number of customers and would like to know exactly how I should respond to this, and that is what effect is the Apple and Microsoft lawsuit over MS Windows going to have on the DECwindows program? How should we be positioning that with our customers?
All right, who wants to start with that one? Richard? Or
I was going to defer that one to Scott.
Okay, Scott.
Expert on that.
Sure.
I used to work at Microsoft, so that's why they're deferring this one to me. Actually, I don't think it'll have any effect whatsoever on DECwindows. We don't infringe on any of the patents or copyrights out there, so we're completely clean. We've had the completion of one internal legal review. We've had one external review completed. We have a second one in process. They all say we're clean, so tell your customers not to worry.
All right. Did that answer your question as well as...
It's just a question of patents and copyrights and not really of look and feel like some things have been coming out in the press saying.
Well, look and feel is really the issue, and they're involved because the question is whether you can copyright or you can patent a look and feel. And generally, I'm not a lawyer, but generally people are holding that you can't copyright mechanism. You can copyright screens. So understand that a customer could take DECwindows and create an infringing program, okay, by copying, say, the Macintosh. But DECwindows itself, and if you follow the style guide in general, you're not going to infringe on something.
Santa Clara, you're next on the line.
I was wondering if you could lay to rest the speculation on schedule. There have been a lot of rumors that DECwindows has slipped to 1989 or 1990 or whatever.
I think that the statements that you heard in Roger Heinen's State of the Company presentation relative to schedule are fairly accurate, that will be coming at the end of the year, beginning of next year with DECwindows version 1.
I'd like to add one other thing. Alteryx Worksystem software has released as of last week its second planned field test update. It went out exactly on schedule. We expect to meet our schedule.
And we would like to remind you that the phone number where you can reach our experts here with your tough questions is 617-276-4800 or DTN 249-4800. Bob, I'm going to throw you a real tough one. Two real tough. How do PCs fit in the DECwindows program, and what specific products are being developed?
Well, addressing the first part, let me start with the vision. We look at an organization and we see a number of different kinds of desktop devices. And by definition, there are a number of different applications written to those devices. Our vision is to make any application in the organization available to any member of that organization, regardless of what platform it might have been written to. Specifically to the DECwindows program, we will be providing facilities which will allow for PC users to access DECwindows applications and for backstation users to access DOS-based applications. The products involved will be additions to our PCSA software, which will be 2 X-display facilities, or X servers, and what we're calling a DOS software coprocessor, which is indeed a DECwindows application, which would execute on a backstation, and when the user opens a DEC window, at that point, the backstation turns into a PC as far as the user is concerned. So again, our goal from the PC side for DECwindows is to provide a means whereby the user can continue to use what they're using today and begin to use this next generation of software, DECwindows software, and at an appropriate time they'll decide that, hey, my PC is no longer the optimal device to run my list of applications from, and at that point it's appropriate for them to move up to a backstation.
Again, we've got a couple of open lines. The number 617-276-4800 or DTN 249-4800. Bob, how does DECwindows relate to PC integration?
Again, going back to that, our goals, we're trying to create an environment where the users are treated equally in terms of the resources they can access. And that includes applications, as I just said, data and shared resources like printers and so forth. And we wish to do it in such a way that rather than replacing the old with the new, we always add the new to what's always been there. So again, it's promoting change in a very natural and not a forced way. And that's what we think our integration, what integration means to us in the PC space.
Let's take a call now from Irvine. You still on the line with us? I guess not. Okay. Well, in the meantime, Scott, how hard is it to port an application from Presentation Manager to DECwindows?
Well, that's an interesting question for 2 reasons. One is that the PC applications, because of the large volume of PCs out there, have gotten quite good. And the second reason is because they've gotten so good, we're really being aggressive at trying to attract a lot of the PC applications, some written for the Presentation Manager, to the DECwindows platform. And the answer to the question depends on how the application was written. What we usually tell people is that the port is straightforward, meaning that it isn't going to be easy and something they could sit down in an hour and do, but on the other hand, it's not something that requires the redesign of their application. Most of the things in terms of the architecture and design of the application can be preserved but they're going to need to do some recoding on the graphics calls and on the particular interface to the user interface. A lot of it is, it's a little more than mechanical. It requires some smarts, but it's quite feasible to do, and we encourage people who have written Presentation Manager applications to port them to DECwindows.
All right, let's go to a caller from Santa Clara. Good afternoon again.
Hi, am I on?
Yep.
Okay. I was wondering if when we offer a source license to the vendors, as you described before, are we going to be providing support for that on other platforms?
Okay, the details of how we're going to do that haven't been worked out entirely. Let's talk a little bit about the goals. What we're trying to achieve is to get the broadest and best application platform base that we can. And what we want to do is to make it as easy as possible for ISVs to use DECwindows on our native platform, but then be able to take their application and move it to an alternate platform. And the way we're looking at doing that is by letting them take the code and be able to move it themselves and do that work themselves. And the kit, whatever we end up shipping as part of that, we'll try and make that job as easy as possible.
We have another call from Santa Clara. Good afternoon.
Hello?
Yep. Hi.
Hi. I was wondering, we have distributed a number of copies of pre-release software to ISVs for them to take a look at and experiment with. I was wondering if you could outline briefly what the various programs are that are in place now to distribute pre-release copies of the software, who's controlling them, and what sort of customers these are addressing.
Go ahead.
Okay, the primary program that's in place is through the Isv Capture program, and Mike Mancuso is a panelist in the next section of this program, will be here to represent that. Essentially through that program we've delivered the software to about well over 200 ISVs who have been trained, and then they have it and they're able to use it. So I'm not sure through which program you got this particular software to ISVs, but that is the only official sanctioned program under which people are getting early release of the software, other than our normal field test, which is happening through engineering into some 80 sites between Alteryx and VMS.
So it sounds as if Mike will probably have more to add to this
Yeah,
later.
I would ask the caller where, what did he get the software under either of those programs?
Yes, it would be under the ISV program. My main interest was how we would be providing updates.
Okay, updates should be available through that ISV program. And again, I think it's probably a question that we could bring to Mike Mancuso in the second part of this program, in the second panel, for him to answer.
I know he's watching, so I'm sure he's got the question. Craig, you have something to add?
And I'd also like to point out that Alteryx Product Management is going to be opening an early release program within the near future, pending resolution of a final Alteryx-specific technical issue that we'd like to get resolved. What that means is that over and above the ISV programs that you've heard today, if there is a major Alteryx opportunity, sales opportunity, I think your contact should be Scott Adams on SSG/BPM::Adams. Let him know that you may or may not need a kit. There are some requirements that you have to meet, but generally they're easy to meet.
Craig, how will the upcoming Alteryx DECwindows workstation product support both the DECwindows platform and present vanilla X environment distributed by MIT and used by your current installed base and other Unix vendors?
And we have to be sensitive. We have a very loyal and very happy population or installed base under X 10.4 right now. And how we provide them a migration path to DECwindows is very important to them and very important to us. So as a consequence, for the next release of UWS software called version 2, we will be able to give customers the option of installing either Vanilla X as a migration path to DECwindows or both. The option is completely up to them. Certainly, we would like them to make the transition from X 10.4 to DECwindows in one lump, but we're not requiring that they do that.
All right, thank you very much. We are going to bring this portion of the broadcast to an end. Any questions that you may have, please do write them down. At the end of the broadcast, we will give you an address where you can send your questions, and the folks here will get back to you with an answer. I want to thank our first group of panelists for participating in today's presentation. I believe Richard will be staying with us for the second half of the presentation, but again, Scott McGregor, Peter George, Craig Lamont, and Bob Reagan, again, thank you for participating. In the second portion of the broadcast, we will listen to an overview of the various core applications and address questions about how the all-in-one product relates to DECwindows, desktop publishing, third-party applications, and out-of-the-box applications. We will also take a look at a demonstration of some of the software running on DECwindows. And we are going to be joined by Rick Burzell in the studio, and Rick is the manager of the core group, and he will be talking about, he is manager of core applications product management. Rick has been with Digital for 6.5 years, managing a variety of software product offerings from a variety of technology. And Rick, nice to have you here.
Thank you.
You want to get things started for us?
Yes. This afternoon in the second panel, we're going to address a wide variety of different applications that are really focused on the DECwindows program. Over the past hour, you've had an opportunity to really address a lot of different questions around DECwindows and have a fairly good idea and understanding of what DECwindows brings to the table here from an applications perspective. It's not only a distributed computing environment for applications, but it's more of an application engine for delivering a user-friendly graphical user interface to application development. But DECwindows alone really doesn't solve the entire problem. Another piece of the puzzle is how do you deal with compound data that's now produced within a workstation's environment? Because the workstation provides a very powerful setting for the development of applications which can integrate a wide variety of different data types, integrated text, graphics, image, voice, and so on. We refer to this as compound documents. We also refer to this as sort of the window on the world. If you look at an enterprise and the integration of a wide variety of different data types, manufacturing data, finance data, and so on, that data coming together in a document in general as an integrated document which contains a wide variety of different data types. A compound document contains a wide variety of things, primarily multi-font, multilingual text, graphics, image, voice, video, at some point voice. As a complement to the DECwindows program, we will introduce the Compound Document Architecture program, and we'll be providing significant base system components to both VMS and Alteryx to facilitate the creation, distribution, and storage of compound data. The Compound Document Architecture program will provide base system support in both VMS and Alteryx, and will include such things as a CDA Programmer's Toolkit, a Compound Document Architecture Programmer's Toolkit, that will facilitate the development of applications that support the Compound Document Architecture in Digital's Interchange formats, and will also support the creation of data converters to and from different data formats. In addition, we'll be providing a library of common data converters for existing digital formats. A good example is word processing formats converted to our new Compound Document Architecture format so they can be integrated with our Compound Document Editor. In addition to that, we'll be providing basic viewers or data viewers to view compound data on a variety of different devices. DECwindows is clearly one device, but the VT100-200 class terminal is another device we'd like to distribute that data to. As part of the base system, we're providing not only services at the RMS level, but we're also providing base system services at the mail level so that you can actually create a compound document and distribute that document over the network via the mail system, in effect extending the network to support compound data. This is an industry leadership position for Digital. We believe we're ahead of IBM and any other company in the industry today in dealing with compound data from the perspective of a network. So, with DECwindows, the CDA services, and some common application communication mechanisms, Digital will be defining a robust set of applications which exhibit a unique flavor of integration. The first unique piece of this is the common look and feel of those applications. These applications will sort of smell and look the same, taste the same to the user. An end user will be able to sit down and run one application, transition to another application, and it'll feel the same. They won't have to relearn the user interface. In addition to that, we'll be providing an intelligent data interchange mechanism between applications. This is defined by the Compound Document Architecture, and will facilitate an intelligent data interchange between applications. We've also coined this term live links, the ability to sit in one application, transition to another application without exiting the original one, and transferring intelligent data between the two applications, and those applications working on that data independently. Today, you will have the opportunity to hear about a number of products, a number of programs around the applications. We will not be able to address any specific product in great detail, although we will have experts on the panel that can talk about any specific product with some detailed knowledge. We will outline 4 separate programs today, and I'm going to briefly outline those programs for you. The 4 areas we'll talk about today are those bundled applications that are delivered with DECwindows, those that come with the DECwindows kit. We coin them the out-of-the-box applications. Those applications, when DECwindows arrives at your desk, they come out of the box, and you're up and running with some applications that make you productive immediately. In addition, we'll be talking about some digital value-added applications, what we talk about as core applications. We'll also talk about the all-in-one workstation services, and we'll also talk about the extensive ISV program that's in place, and Mike Mancuso will join us later to talk to us more about that program. Bundled with the DECwindows kit, there are a number of personal productivity applications, or applications that exploit DECwindows and the CDA program. Examples include a paint program for doing bitmap editing. There's a 4-function calculator, a card filer, a Rolodex. There's a notepad and a calendar. In addition to that, there are other applications like a Postscript previewer, which will allow you to preview Postscript documents on your screen before you print them. Digital will also be providing a comprehensive set of core applications, layered products. Customers will have to pay money for them, which exploit both DECwindows and the compound document architecture. The core applications that we're building are complementary to the ISV program. Core applications defined in a marketing context mean that they're horizontal in nature. They're designed for the general user of a system. They exhibit the same look and feel and will provide an exceptional level of integration through the compound document architecture program and through this term live links I introduced a minute ago. The 3 major applications we'll be delivering in the DECwindows timeframe include a compound document editor, a data charting facility, and an information management facility. There are many other applications already under development that will play within the context of these other applications. They include graphics editors and presentation development systems, time management and project management, and so on. The compound document editor is really the core of core applications. It is a what you see is what you get interactive compound document editor that allows you to create a page as it's seen when printed on the screen. The compound document editor is really much more than an editor today. It contains more document creation facilities than you would find in a normal editor, those things that you would consider to see in a word processor. It will allow you to produce footnotes, automatically generate a table of contents, and produce an indices to a document. The data charting capability that we'll be providing, our application, will provide just that, a data charting capability. It will provide pie charts, scatter charts coming from different data sources, and we'll do 3D renditions of those charts. The information management package is really a 3-tier thrust. One thrust is a table data editing capability to allow you to access RDB and RMS files. The second thrust is a spreadsheet or calculator capability to do statistical analysis on that data. And the third piece is, again, the data charting capability. These applications are very tightly integrated, and you can take these applications, layer them on your DECwindows environment, and have these applications interact and exchange intelligent data between themselves. Now, the all-in-one program. Simultaneous with the DECwindows announcement, we will announce the all-in-one Phase 2 program. All-in-one will grow into a family of products including both the Workstation Services and the Terminal Services. Workstation Services extended by all-in-one will deliver DECwindows-based user interface, and at the same time will work with the existing terminal services that we have today. We expect customers to continue to purchase the traditional all-in-one terminal services, but to extend their base all-in-one services to the workstation environment because it is so attractive for the end user. And finally, Digital has established an extensive program to attract and capture a large number of ISVs, third-party application developers. The program that's been established is very aggressive. Even now, over the last 2 to 3 months, there have been over 250 ISVs who have participated in a worldwide DECwindows training. In the U.S. alone, some 80% of those have committed to the DECwindows program. And the aggressive plans in place are really to put thousands of ISVs on our platforms over time. And the program will be focused on exactly that, of providing many applications on digital platforms. Next, you will see a live demonstration of DECwindows and some of the key core applications. And that will give you a much better feel for when we talk about DECwindows and applications, what the applications look like and feel like, and what the integration means.
All right, thank you very much, Rick. As you can see, Digital will be offering a variety of applications to run on DECwindows. We do, as Rick mentioned, have a short demonstration of some DECwindows applications for you. Let's take a look at those and then meet the rest of our panel.
Good afternoon. I'm Scott Adams from System Software Based Product Marketing. This afternoon, we'd like to show you some of the DECwindows applications that will be available at first customer ship. The compound document editor that integrates text, graphics, image, and live data into revisable compound documents. The compound document editor runs under both VMS and Alteryx, presenting compound documents in a WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get fashion. The compound document editor combines word processing, publishing, and graphics creation into one easy-to-use application. The compound document editor is the hub of a family of DECwindows applications that are highly integrated through the compound document architecture. This architecture makes it possible to mail compound documents throughout the network. The compound document editor includes a full-function word processing editor with features such as search and replace, a spell checker, thesaurus, and usage alert, as well as redlining and change bars. Formatting is totally interactive. The compound document editor allows for multi-column, multi-font text, as well as the ability to automatically paginate documents. It automatically generates lists, a table of contents, and index. The compound document editor easily integrates text and graphics anywhere in the document. A variety of graphics objects, including lines, arcs, squares, rectangles, ellipses, circles, polygons, polylines, and freehand drawings are available in the compound document editor. Objects can be filled with tints or patterns and annotated with text. The compound document editor also integrates images from a 300 dot per inch scanner and is our next generation editor that combines publishing and word processing under our DECwindows environment. DECwindows Chart is another DECwindows application that operates in both the VMS and Alteryx environments. It is an easy-to-use, easy-to-read, and easy-to-understand presentation graphics application. DECwindows Chart is one of a family of products that supports the compound document architecture. By supporting the compound document architecture, DECwindows charts can become an integral component of compound documents. There are 9 charting types to choose from. The predefined chart types include area, bar, column, combination, high-low, histogram, line, pie, and scatter. Additionally, users will have the freedom to create their own user-defined charts. When a user selects a chart type, a dialog box will open displaying the different chart style options. Users may choose to display multiple chart type dialog boxes at the same time. This will allow users to easily change back and forth between chart differing styles to do graphical what-if analysis. Now, we'll change the chart style to line and redisplay the chart. What if we wanted to have a representation of the data as a stacked column? DECwindows Chart allows us to change chart styles easily. After careful review, we have decided to represent the data as a clustered column chart. With DECwindows chart, users may choose to import data from 3 different sources: external data files such as Lotus 123 spreadsheets, DECgraph loaded files, or from an internal worksheet interface. The worksheet interface allows users to quickly change values. And to select specific data ranges to be charted. Once the selection is completed, the chart can easily be redrawn by clicking on the Draw Chart option. One of the nicest features of DECwindows chart is the ability to quickly modify some of the chart attributes. DECwindows chart provides in a separate window a graphic representation of the chart components that can be modified. This window is called Chart Parts. For example, if we want to remove the legend from our chart, simply click on the legend box in the Chart Part window. Finally, when we are done modifying our chart, we save it away. Once it is saved, it can easily be incorporated into a compound document. Now that we've covered the compound document editor and the compound document charting package, I'd like to touch on a few of the out-of-the-box packages which come standard with VMS and Alteryx. We'll be touching on the card filer, the calculator, mail, and the clock. I come into my office and I find that I have a new mail message. I bring that mail message up, and it is from my manager asking me to check on a new marketing manager for PR Smith, as well as verifying the sales figures for this quarter. In order to check on the marketing manager for PR Smith, I need to call Seal Carty. I look into my card file and find Celia's phone number so that I can check on the new marketing manager for PR Smith. In order to check the sales figures, I bring up the calculator. Instead of having to go into my desk, I have a calculator right in my terminal. These out-of-the-box applications, along with the others that come standard with both Alteryx and VMS, are the productivity tools that you will use on a daily basis, all available through your electronic desktop.
Okay, we're back. The rest of our panelists have now joined us for the second half of our program here in the studio. Why don't we take a couple of minutes to introduce them. Tom Austin is the manager of OIS's all-in-one product marketing group. His key priorities are customer satisfaction, continuing to increase our market share, and to facilitate an aggressive expansion of all-in-one under the Phase 2 program. Tom has been in this position for 18 months. In the past, Tom has worked in the channels marketing, TOEM, and lab data products, as well as prior experience in the field. Michael Mancuso is the group marketing manager for Digital's independent software vendor group. His responsibility is the worldwide recruitment of third-party software developers. His group provides marketing, training, and technical support programs to software developers. Mike has been with Digital for 16 years in both line and staff assignments, including product management, sales and sales management, and marketing positions. Jacqueline Kale is the marketing manager for Digital's electronic publishing systems group and has worldwide responsibility for the planning and marketing of systems and software for enterprise-wide electronic publishing. She's been with Digital for 13 years and has held a variety of positions in both the field organization and corporate marketing. Bob Travis is the senior architect in the core applications group. He is also responsible for Digital's compound document architecture. He's been writing software since 1962 and became a Digital employee in 1978. He has worked in a number of different technical and management positions at Digital since 1975. He's worked primarily in the document processing and office applications area. Now we would like to take your questions from the field. We want to remind you that the number to call is area code 617-276-4800 or DTN 249-4800. And Mike, why don't we start? There was a question from the first segment of the program that was directed to you. Can you just recap the question briefly and the answer to it?
Sure. I believe the question centered around updates for the early release training program that we established in December of 1987. And let me just recap what we did, and then we'll talk about the updates. First, in December, when we ran our first DECwindows early release training program, we sent out base level 5 software, and that software continued to ship until the April timeframe when we sent out Field Test 1 software. Field Test 1 software will continue to ship in the training program until Field Test 2 is out, approximately July timeframe. As we progress up the levels of software, base level 5 to Field Test 1, we will in fact upgrade all those software developers who attended the early release training program. And in fact, we have sent out and started to send out Field Test 1 kits to the early developers, and we will continue to do that. So I hope that answers the question. If not, please call and we'll try to articulate it further.
Okay, they can always give us a buzz back. We do have a caller on the line from Marlboro. We would like to let you know we have some lines open, so give us a call. Hello, Marlboro.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Since the resolutions between the VAC station and the PC are different, will our core applications and also our ISV applications running DECwindows sample the wire to adjust the resolution of the screens?
I guess most of the resolution issues center around the use of fonts and the drawing of graphics like circles and so on. And the targeted platforms for the core applications right now are the VAC station screens themselves, which are all 1-to-1 aspect ratios. We're still working out now exactly what to do on the various PC platforms. I think we don't have the panelist here right now from the PC group, but we've just reached some agreements there on a strategy to do that. So I think it's going to be okay with the core applications on those platforms.
Marlboro, do you have a follow-up question?
The only comment is will it, will we still take advantage of device independence?
Yes, where it's necessary to do so, the applications will be able to retrieve the resolution and size information from the server and adjust their use of fonts accordingly.
All right, our friends from Seattle are back on the line. Nice to hear from you again, Seattle.
Howdy. I have a question about the Compound Document Editor. Does the Compound Document Editor allow live spreadsheet data and live chart data so that as you change your spreadsheet, the charts and the numbers change in your document?
Yes, it does. Simple answer.
Anybody else have anything to add? Rick?
Well, the linkages between the Compound Document Editor and the charting program and the information management package is again based on this live link kind of concept between the Compound Document architecture foundation and those applications. The live link capability does give you that immediate updating of information between those applications.
Bedford, you're on the line next.
So I have two different questions. Does the Compound Document Editor and the charting package support color, and what kind of support for color is that?
Go ahead, Rick.
The Compound Document Editor does not support color in its first release. The charting package does, and will support both color, video, and hard copy.
And your second question, Bedford?
Is what kind of licensing arrangements, or are we going to be licensing any of our tools, such as the Compound Document Editor or the charting packages on other platforms?
Who's our licensing expert, Rick?
Well,
you want to try that?
I guess that's my question. We are, in the two platforms we're targeting initially are clearly digital platforms, VMS and Alteryx. We do have a plan in place to look at OS/2 and to license on an OS/2 environment within the context of a digital network. We are actively looking at other platforms now, such as Mac and so on, but we have no firm plans in place to migrate the editor beyond the three basic platforms, VMS, Alteryx, and OS/2 today.
I'd like to add to that, in that we've received a lot of interest from customers and ISVs that we've talked to about potentially licensing the Compound Document Editor as an OEM product and adding their value-added applications and basically using the Compound Document Editor as a base to integrate their applications and then resell that. And we're certainly interested in pursuing those opportunities as well.
Once again, give our panelists a call here. The number is 617-249-276. Let me try that again. 617-276-4800. It won't help if I give you the wrong number. Or DTN 249-4800. Hello, Dallas.
Yes, this is Larry Watercutty from Dallas, Texas, and I'd like to follow up on the question earlier from Chicago, centered around display Postscript and its availability on the version 1 of DECwindows. I wasn't sure what the answer was there.
Richard?
Okay, yes. Essentially, we have an agreement with Adobe Systems to provide Postscript capability within the video system. That means that you can view a Postscript file at your work system. In the first release, what we're providing is a previewer. So it's an application, really, that to that application you can pass a Postscript file, and that would be displayed at your workstation. The second piece of technology that we're working with Adobe on is to provide the Postscript capability as an extension to the X system. That means that from an application now, you can make calls to Postscript capability directly to talk to the screen. So that means that you can have the same imaging model in your application for the screen as you would for your hard copy output. So if you have to write an application that generates hard copy output, all the algorithms that you have for generating Postscript to make that hard copy happen, you can use those same algorithms for making Postscript happen on your screen. And that's a great advantage. And it's that capability that won't be there until version 2. Version 1, you'll be able to run an application, take a Postscript file as input, and display it on your screen.
Jackie, if I can turn to you for a minute, what is the significance of the DECwindows and CDA programs to digital's presence in the electronic publishing market?
Well, both the DECwindows and the Compound Document Architecture really represent digital's commitment to providing a complete and comprehensive publishing architecture that's based on international and industry standards. Using these standards, digital will be able to provide leadership integration among both third-party products and the digital products for enterprise-wide publishing. What this really gives you, as Rick talked about earlier, was a window on the world, linking information from across an enterprise into a compound document for the user. And that breadth of solution is something that no other vendor in the electronic publishing market today really has.
We have a call now from Hartford. Let's turn to your questions. Good afternoon.
Hi there. I have a question regarding hypertext. I've heard rumors that there's a hypertext product being developed to layer upon DECwindows. First of all, is there such a product?
All right. Any member of the panel want to try that one? Bob?
It's true that we're developing some hypertext capabilities layered on DECwindows. Some of the technology involved in that, in fact, is going into the help facility that'll be produced as part of DECwindows. There are no clear plans yet for around the product in that space, but the goal is to provide an overall hyperlink capability that crosses all DECwindows applications and is available all the time on DECwindows systems.
Detroit, you're next on the line.
Hello, this is Detroit. We'd like to ask a question about engineering applications. If what we've heard so far is a lot of OIS, if we have 3D OEMs that we support here or engineering applications, could you speak somewhat about how DECwindows is going to interface with all that environment also?
Could you clarify that? Is that, you mean 3D in particular?
Yeah, 3D in particular, XPEX, and that whole environment, what that's going to do to the windowing environment.
Right, okay. we've been working together with other companies, Sun and Apollo in particular, to define a standard for an X extension which would provide 3D capability, and that's been called the FIGS extension, or PEX. And that's fairly well along in terms of its definition, and I think there's a general agreement on what it should be. It's a matter of now integrating that within our products. We will have products in the area of FIGS, for example, that will work with DECwindows, and eventually will be upgraded to work on that extension of X. So I think the answer to your question is that 3D capability fits within DECwindows, really.
Can I add to that
Sure.
Just a second? The strategy right now around 3D and DECwindows in particular is to push the CAD vendors and CAM vendors to work with FIGS, because the extension to X at this point will be a FIGS lookalike type of extension. If they move to FIGS today, they can move to the extension to X very easily when that extension actually arrives. So the message is FIGS is a good platform to move toward in the DECwindows environments today, and wait for PEX to come.
Bob, do you have anything you need to add to that?
No, I think I was going to just say what Rick said.
All right, Detroit, does that answer your question? Do you have a follow-up?
Answer, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Santa Clara, you're on the line.
Hi, I had two questions. One, what is the part of the compound document architecture which will allow us to integrate things like Interleaf and these other popular packages into DECwindows and let them work with our applications?
Okay, I'll take that. The third parties that we've been working with in the publishing market have shown a great deal of interest in integrating with the compound document architecture. We've been working very closely with Interleaf in particular on the support of the DDIF format, or the Digital Document Interchange format. Interleaf has made a commitment to build a two-way DDIF to Interleaf converter, which will allow us to take documents created using our compound document editor or other DDIF compliant applications and exchange those with Interleaf documents in a fully revisable fashion. So through the support of DDIF and the DDIF converter, Interleaf will be able to participate in the CDA and also use facilities such as mail, electronic mailing of DDIF documents, viewing, printing, etc.
All right, Santa Clara, your second question.
Is DDIF then the glue that's going to tie together things like the book reader out-of-the-box application, the Postscript previewer, and these other various text graphics applications?
You want to answer that one, Bob?
That's a tougher question. The integrating all applications in general is a large task, and doing that integration was a major goal of the compound document architecture, and DDIF is a fundamental part of that. It's also a major goal of the DECwindows program. And the way these two sets of standards work together, in particular with the examples that you gave, is that for cutting and pasting data between applications, applications are free to use DDIF where it makes sense, and in several of those cases it does. For interchanging things with display Postscript, on the other hand, it really doesn't make sense. With things that are in Postscript already, what you're going to be exchanging between the applications is Postscript. And if a book reader, which was organized around the use of Postscript, clearly would be using Postscript in that context. What we're really encouraging third-party application developers to do, and what we're supporting with our own, is the free use of DDIF to accomplish those data interchange, because it lets people get around not just in the DECwindows environment and not just with Postscript presentation, but across a whole wide range of devices.
Again, don't be shy. Give us a call with your questions, 617-276-4800 or DTN 249-4800. Tom, does DECwindows replace all-in-one?
No, no. If we turn back to Rick's presentation before the videotape, you'll recall that Rick mentioned a program called All-in-One Phase 2. We're very excited about that program. In All-in-One Phase 2, we're delivering two things. One's called All-in-One VT Services, and since this is a DECwindows show, we won't talk about that now. And the other is called All-in-One Workstation Services. In Workstation Services, we're going to be delivering support for DECwindows applications, workstations, and other desktop technology. We're going to be delivering that to our customers so that they can extend their environment from today's VT-based all-in-one to also include DECwindows, graphic user interfaces, VAX-based workstations, and other desktop devices in a graceful way so that they can protect their investment in today's technology, continue to invest in VT technology where that makes sense, and take advantage of the powerful new capabilities that we're going to provide in all-in-one through the DECwindows program and with the VAX workstation program.
Cincinnati, you're next on the line.
I'd like to expand upon the comments were made by Santa Clara earlier along the lines of Interleaf. It would appear that the Interleaf offering we currently have would be more or less in direct competition to what we are providing under Epic Writer. Is this true, or does Interleaf actually bring more to the table than what Epic Writer will bring in the beginning?
Okay, I'd like to answer that. I think you can view the compound document editor that we'll offer and the Interleaf product as complementary rather than competitive. We intend to position from both of a marketing and a pricing standpoint CDE as sort of the WYSIWYG product for the masses. It will be used by people who don't do publishing for a living, but rather people who are technical or office professionals who want to produce good-looking documents and, in particular, integrate compound documents. We'll continue to sell Interleaf product via our SCMP program and position that for the publishing professional. This is a person who will want to have a dedicated workstation dedicating to producing the high-quality documents, say, for a department, and are really used to using professional tools. So from a functionality standpoint, Interleaf will continue to be targeted at high-end production publishing, where the compound document editor, from an ease-of-use standpoint, and a pricing standpoint and a positioning, will be targeted at the non-professional publishing user. And once again, the key element is the compound document architecture, which via DDIF will be able to link those two products together. So we could potentially see many users in an organization using CDE, and then through the DDIF converters feeding potentially an Interleaf system for high-end production publishing needs.
Rick, do you have a word or two you want to add on this?
No, that's an excellent answer by Jackie.
All right, well then we'll move on to Maynard. Good afternoon.
Yes, I have a couple of questions here. The first one is on DECwindows over the wide area network, over a WAN. What kind of support is going to be given? What kind of response would persons expect using it in that kind of application?
Richard?
Okay, there's nothing in the architecture that prevents DECwindows, and in particular the X window architecture, from working in a wide area network. And in fact, we have been running applications that we're executing on the West Coast and displaying here in our engineering facilities in Spitbrook. The performance will depend on the application itself. Obviously, if there's a lot of traffic between the screen and the application, then the performance will not be as good. But really, this technology, this X technology, was designed for local area networks for speeds of 10 megabits. Although there's nothing to prevent you from going wider than that. It's not really the design center.
Do you have a follow-up, Maynard?
Yes, actually, I have one that's related to hardware. This is going to be supported across all VAX work systems, and is there going to be any kind of memory, minimum memory that's going to be required, and what kind of response will you get from having these minimum memory compared to, say, PCs running MS Windows, which is what our customers are going to be kind of relating the whole DECwindows environment to? Did that make sense?
Yes, it did.
Okay, go ahead, Richard.
Right now, we're sort of in between our Field Test 1 and our Field Test 2, and our approach to the development was to put the functionality in place first. In other words, do all the work that we had the programming interfaces in place so we could start an ISV program and get people programming. And then our second part of the project was to focus on performance and memory utilization. So our early versions, FT1 and so forth, use a lot of memory, and they're not up to snuff in terms of performance, and I think you saw that from Roger's presentation at the State of the Company. What we're concentrating now on is improving that performance and reducing the amount of memory, and we've done a lot of work in terms of trying to reduce the amount of memory that DECwindows uses and in terms of improving the performance. At this point, we're not in a position to make any statement about what devices would be supported and what devices would not be supported. Whatever we do, when we do figure that out, which will be around FT2 time later in the summer, we'll be in a position to make more firm statements about it. that
All right.
answer your question?
Maynard, I guess we lost Maynard.
Here's the last one.
Oh, one more?
Yeah, and then that's it. What other applications are being developed besides for all-in-one that will utilize both terminals and the DECwindows environment, so it can be used across, like say in a mixed interconnect cluster, where you would have terminal users and workstations utilizing the same software that's installed?
Okay, Tom?
That's it.
I think the primary software package that Digital has built and is continuing to invest in that delivers that capability is all-in-one. Our users aren't restricted to using all-in-one. There are many other technologies available because what we deliver to them is flexible in a variety of different ways. But the one package that Digital delivers that spans PCs, VTs, and workstations will be the all-in-one Phase 2 product.
Minneapolis, you're on the line next.
Hello.
Hi.
Richard made references in the beginning of the broadcast to now is the time to learn. A lot of the learning opportunities I've seen for DECwindows can best be described maybe as hunt and peck. When can we expect to see high availability technical training for field software specialists?
Okay.
Let me try to address that. The training vehicle for the sales support organization is really done through the area software training managers. There is a monthly update catalog based that addresses the schedule, and DECwindows is included in that. In addition, during the summer, there are several symposiums, I believe the number is 7, that are going to happen, and DECwindows plays a major role in that series as well. The people in corporate are aware of the need and also of the interest in DECwindows and are trying to put those services in place. So I think by the end of the summer, that issue will be addressed.
And Richard, you're going to have...
Yeah, in the follow-up or the wrap-up at the end, I'll give you a list of all the places that you can look for courses and exactly what's happening this year.
Tom, did you have something you wanted to add?
No, I think Richard's going to cover it at the end.
Okay, very good. Let's, Bob, I have a question I'd like to ask of you. What about support for software development?
Right. There's a lot of things going on, as I think Roger or somebody mentioned in the beginning, that virtually all the application development going on in engineering today is directed in one way or another to DECwindows. And the computer-aided software engineering effort isn't any exception to that. The full set of VACset development tools, languages, debuggers, source analyzers, and so on, are being converted to use DECwindows and to take full advantage of the multi-windowing capability so they can operate together. There's a set of added value widgets that are being developed for to make graphics display easy for applications that want to do that. There's a WYSIWYG screen display editor creator package being developed to augment the user interface language and compiler to make it straightforward to design application screens using DECwindows. And finally, there is some advanced automated design tools being developed expressly for DECwindows.
Santa Clara. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. The DECwindows program is receiving a significant amount of investment across the board. I don't want people to get the impression that additional development is not taking place in all-in-one BT services. We plan to invest more in the development of all-in-one BT services in the future than we have in the past. I want to make sure that our customers understand through you that we have a balanced approach to addressing their needs.
All right, Santa Clara, you in Seattle are top questioners of the day. Fire away.
Yeah, this is Pam Parrish from Santa Clara, and I had a couple of questions. One was, if the information management section is RDB-based, will it be also available on Alteryx, or are you going to use Ingress, or how do you plan to do that? And then I had another question after that.
Okay, well, let's see if we can find somebody to answer the first question. All right, Rick.
He hands that to me. The current plan is a VMS-only product We are addressing the problems of RDB on other platforms. Ingress is a possibility there. We have no plans at this point to move that way. We are investigating. We think it's important. Our approach to date has been to treat the RDB base as a VMS server type of environment where the data would actually live in a VMS environment under RDB, and we would access that data over the network in a server-client style of model.
Let me add to that a little bit that the interfaces to the database management stuff is migrating to a more thorough use of SQL as the interface definition. And this is being done in an effort to free the applications layer somewhat from the specifics of our VMS-based RDB relational environment, so that while the RDB would be the engine that would be used in a VMS environment, by sitting on top of the SQL interface to RDB, the applications themselves can port and sit on other database engines as we need to.
Santa Clara, your next question.
My next question is concerning all-in-one in the windowing environment. With the DECwindows providing so much of the ease of use and interface that has been all-in-one's benefit, what do you see as the added value of all-in-one? And can you give us some idea of the what you're going to be doing with all-in-one in the phase 2, to take advantage of both Alteryx and VMS platforms and user interfaces?
Okay, let's try to separate that into the two issues that are presented. The first issue is, what's the added value? And I think the issue or the question raises a confusion that I'd like to clarify. There isn't an iron wall between DECwindows and all-in-one, or all-in-one phase 2. In fact, the all-in-one program is contributing major components of DECwindows. Certainly not all of them, but major components to DECwindows. And DECwindows is contributing major components to all-in-one. What we really have is we have multiple levels of enabling technology being delivered, world-class leadership technology, I'll add, by the DECwindows program. Some of them come out of the Office space, some of them come out of a variety of other spaces. But the two programs work together. What all-in-one was, is, and will be is digital's delivery vehicle for delivering an effective enterprise-wide system that's easy to use. We make technology simple. So we're taking, in the all-in-one phase 2 program, among other things, we're taking DECwindows components, putting them together, making them easier to manage, easier to use. We're having our Workstation Services, which is the internal code name today for the DECwindows components. Workstation Services will interoperate with terminal services or VT services. They'll interoperate in terms of application access, in terms of common scheduling, calendar applications, information sharing. There's a variety of different components on a technical level that we're providing to the DECwindows program. The key thing that we give isn't technology. Digital provides the all-in-one program with technology. The key thing we provide is we give our all-in-one customers the ability to gracefully expand into DECwindows and workstations without having to throw away their previous investment. Instead, we give them the ability to have DECwindows-based workstation applications, VTs, PCs, all work together so that a DECwindows investment on the part of an all-in-one customer is easier to make if they've made the all-in-one decision, because then they can make various desktop types work together. So that's part of the value added. Let me go on to the second question. In terms of our priorities for development, our priorities for development are first, in support of the DECwindows program, we're supporting VMS-based workstations. We also recognize the importance of DOS-based PCs, the millions of them out there in our customer base, and the fact that many of them are being disenfranchised by other vendors. We're going to provide technology to integrate DOS-based workstations directly into all-in-one phase 2 so they can work with VAX workstations as well as VT-based or terminal services-based systems. The next step after that is providing OS/2 support. And in the future after that, we also intend to provide support for Mac, Unix, and so forth. I hope I answered your question.
Seattle, do you have a Santa Clara, do you have a follow-up question?
Yes, just a clarification for me, and that is, so you will be offering the all-in-one Office products under Alteryx also?
Yeah, let me make clear the priority with which we're headed. We have clear commitment with our engineering organizations to deliver a VMS-based solution. We are negotiating with engineering and believe we have a clear commitment on DOS and OS2. We do not yet have a timeline on Alteryx or Unix, but we're committed to the intent. We believe it's critically important that we move in that direction. I hope that answers your question.
Do we have any, what do we offer for customers right now that would like to go to Alteryx and need Office applications, I guess is what I really need to know.
There's two approaches to Office applications on Alteryx. The first is there are a variety of point solutions available through CMPs and SCMPs that work, and they work well. They're not world-class enterprise-wide type solutions, but they do work. And some of them exist in the publishing space. One of them is a system that the Engineering Systems Group has brought in as a cooperative marketing partner. Interleaf was mentioned earlier. There's a variety of products that are available in the Unix or Alteryx space today. We don't have an integrated Office system of the same class as all-in-one available for our customers in Unix or Alteryx.
Stay on the line with us. Don't go away. We understand we have a number of you on the line. Let's go to Washington, D.C. next.
Hi. I want to know, will both DECwindows servers and clients support both DECnet and IP connections? And my concern is for use in a multi-vendor Unix environment. Will non-DEC Unix customers be locked out?
Richard.
Yeah, our plan initially was to support DECnet, and TCP/IP is available, or will be available in a new product, which we've been calling the, I guess, Alteryx or VMS Bridge product, which will include an implementation of NFS for VMS as well. Now, once we have that product, it's a question of testing it against our DECwindows capabilities to see if we really have the interoperability. Currently, our goals for version 1 of DECwindows is to get interoperability working amongst our own systems first, obviously. And it isn't clear that we'll be able to test in a heterogeneous environment with other vendors in the version 1 timeframe. I think that it'll be kind of an evolving thing because the standards from MIT are coming out, and it's going to be a while before all the other vendors are conforming sufficiently so that we can really have an interoperable system between a lot of these systems. Our goal up front is to get all our systems working first.
Mike, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Can you tell me a little bit more about Digital's Independent Software Vendor Program?
Sure. And the Independent Software Vendor Program is the company's commitment to deliver a broad base of quality and leadership applications to our customers on a worldwide basis. We do indeed focus on the desktop. We've worked directly with targeted ISVs and have put several what I call leveraged marketing programs in place to attract a broad base of developers. I think the bottom line in our goal is to make working with digital easy for software developers.
We have a call from Bedford. You must be nearby.
Yeah, I'm downstairs. This is actually good timing to follow up from Mike. Could you describe what our expectations are of independent software vendors on first customer ship, what we will have or what types of things we will have, and the number of other products will be available on our platforms?
Okay. I think I heard probably 4 or 5 different questions in there. So let me start with our expectation, and if I don't answer it, you can follow up or come upstairs and ask it. The whole design of the early release training program was, and the goal was that when we announced the DECwindows products, that our third parties, ISVs, CMPs, and OEMs, would literally be on the stage with us announcing their product support under DECwindows. And that's the goal that we're trying to march towards. It was mentioned earlier, to date we've trained over 250 ISVs, third parties, including CMPs, some of our existing partners. And we have a fairly aggressive schedule to continue that effort, or approximately 60 third parties per month. So if one of the questions I heard was, what is our expectation? Our expectation is on announcement day of DECwindows, these 200 or 300 or 400 developers will also announce that their product supports that environment. I hope that answers your question.
I think you're still with us, Bedford, if you have a follow.
Yeah, so what types of applications do you expect out of those 200 or 300? Everything, or could you categorize those applications?
Okay. Right now, it's a cross between a variety of different marketplaces, commercial and technical. The program started with our existing partners back in December. It was to the 80% level of existing partners and 20% to what I would classify as a horizontal applications and some commercial vertical applications. The success rate has been excellent, and we're tending to get away from, actually very aggressively now, away from the existing partners and focusing much more attention on the newer, less or more popular applications in the marketplace. Our partners are with us. They seem to be supportive of the DECwindows and, in fact, will stand up with us. So we're trying to focus in much more of the very well-known applications, without naming which ones, because I'm not supposed to. So that's our intent. Long-winded answer for a variety of different marketplaces, including commercial and the technical areas.
All right, let's take a call now from Maynard, assuming you're still with us.
I'm still here.
Oh, good.
Yeah, my question has to do with Rainbow applications and Rainbow files. Will it be possible on a DECwindows-based workstation to access existing Rainbow applications and files? And if so, how will that be done?
Okay, that's stumped the panel. Okay, Rainbow. Actually, Richard, do you want to take a stab at that one?
I have no idea. That's one we'll have to follow up on.
All right. I guess we... Oh, go ahead.
No, I don't have an answer to the question. But I
Okay.
did want to follow up on a previous discussion relative to the Unix question, the Alteryx question, with respect to Office applications. I'm afraid we may have left the impression that Interleaf runs on Alteryx, which it does not today. We have been working very closely with Interleaf, who has, in fact, committed to us to do an Alteryx port and, in fact, a DECwindows port. But we don't have a commitment at this time as to when that specifically will be available.
And Maynard, we're not really ignoring you, but you know, you will get the information. We'll give you some information at the end of the program where you can pass the question along, and we'll make sure you get an answer to it. Los Angeles, help us out. Give us a question.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you speak up a little?
This is Los Angeles, home of the world champion Lakers.
Well.
And I have one question concerning network security. How will DECwindows provide security if you're going to be opening up applications on different servers on the network? Won't you be, in essence, be on those systems? And that's a lot of questions we've been getting out in the field on security issues.
Basically, the way security works with DECwindows is no different than the way it works today with remote terminal access. To get an application running on a remote system, you're going to need an account on that system. You're going to need to be logged in there. There's a lot of work going on to make that process easy as directed from the workstation. But the fundamental technology is the same as we have today, which is that your username and password gets used and logs you in, and you run an application there which is passed directly or indirectly the node name of the workstation, so it then proceeds to open up a window on the workstation and talk to you.
Los Angeles, you came in very distantly. We hope we've answered your question. Do you have a follow?
No, I don't. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And now we would like to welcome Brookfield, Wisconsin to the network. What's your question?
I have a question about DCL. Is DCL going to be rewritten to make use of the Windows environment?
Okay, one of the out-of-the-box applications that we didn't touch on is called the User Executive, and that will provide a graphical shell or interface into the operating system. And it'll be similar for VMS and Alteryx. It's kind of like you can envision doing your commands like copy and so forth. You'd have a graphical interface to that. DCL will still be available through a terminal emulator services. You can always create a terminal emulator window, log in, and use DCL to your heart's content. And in the version 1, at least, the graphical shell wouldn't cover all the possible DCL commands. There will still be some commands that you'll have to do through a terminal emulated window. What we're trying to do is cover the most common ones to provide an easy-to-use interface in the operating environment that would complement the core applications, the compound document editor and mail and so forth. So there'll be a similar interface on all the things that you would see, including mail.
All right, Chicago, you're on the line.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, my question is, you had mentioned backset and other programming tools being underneath DECwindows, and I assume you're talking about a VMS. What are the plans for porting backset or other programming tools to the Alteryx environment?
I don't, do you have that, Rick?
I hate to speak for the group. I know there are plans underway to address the backset component under Alteryx, but I just can't speak for the group. I'd be glad to get back with you with that information.
I think the basic strategy they have there is to port the critical things as needed, but how large a set that's going to turn out to be, I don't think they've finally decided yet.
So please make sure you get that question to us, and an answer will come back. Pittsburgh, you're next on the line.
Hello.
Howdy.
This question has to do with the licensing issues for workstations as used in DECwindows. It's my understanding that when one logs in from one workstation to another under DECwindows, there would be a new user counted. And how are we going to address the multi-user licensing issues in workstations under DECwindows?
Okay, that is a problem that we have not wholly resolved yet, and we're working on. We don't have a definitive answer, and that's about all I can say at this point. That's something that we'll be working on in phase 2 of the product, and we'll have detailed when we make the announcement.
All right, thank you. We will have to bring the question and answer portion of this section to a close. We want to thank you for your questions. Even got some stumpers today. And if you were not able to get through to our panelists, please write your questions down. Send them to Scott Adams at ssgbpm:/Adams. Okay, let's bring this segment and our broadcast to an end today. But first, Richard, again, where can people turn for some follow-up information?
Well, as we heard one of the questions, the information on DECwindows has been pretty spotty, and it's sort of hunt and peck, and we're trying to fix that. There are a number of courses that are going to be developed in the near future for salespeople, for sales support, and for customers. And you should be looking into several different places to find these things. First, the Swiss area training managers receive this information, so that's one source of information. And also, you'll find some information on the BPM video text database. That's another place that you can keep an eye out and get information, as well as the Swiss master calendar. All this information would be available in those 3 places. Some of the things that we do know about include DECwindows symposia this summer. In particular, there's one on BOIS on July 25th that will address all-in-one in DECwindows and compound document architecture. We're also planning several tapes that would be extracts from this DVN. One that would be 1 hour, that would be for internal use, and another one that would be 15 minutes for customer use. All of the order numbers for those particular items would be available through the master calendar and also the video text database. So those are some pointers for you to go out and find the information. And I would urge you to learn about windowing, learn about DECwindows, and learn about Windows in general and what it means to your particular accounts and how you might be using it in solving your customers' problems. Yeah?
Thank you. Again, I want to thank the panel, Jacqueline Kale, Tom Austin, Richard Treadway, Rick Burzell, Mike Mancuso, and Bob Travis. I would also like to remind you that the information that you heard today about the DECwindows product is company private and is not for general disclosure. There should be no tape of this, and there should be no distribution of this information. As we wrap up the day's training, we would like to ask the facilitators to do a few things. First, you could pick up a list of the participants' names and addresses and ask the participants to complete the evaluation form. Collect any unresolved questions, include them with the evaluation forms. We would like to ask that the site coordinators send everything to the Quality Assurance Office through standard evaluation channels. This has been the DECwindows Field Readiness DVN. We've had a full 2 hours. We've had an overview of the DECwindows program, seen how DECwindows is implemented in the VMS, Alteryx, and PC environments, and taken a look at the various digital and third-party applications associated with DECwindows. We hope you found the information valuable. Your site coordinators and our panel members have worked very hard to put this DVN telecast together for you. On their behalf and mine, I'd like to thank you for joining us. Take care.